What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 5, Episode 9, Sarper and the City. So, speaking of Sarper, let's start right there. Shakina and Sarper. So, Shakina is meeting, this is our newest couple. He lives in Turkey, she lives in California, and she's planning to move to Turkey to be with him. So, when we see Shakina, she's meeting up with her ex, I think it's her ex boyfriend and the father of her child, Berto. When he stepped into the scene, I thought this was her dad. I really thought this was her father, but this is her ex. He's 27 years older than her. And they show us pictures of them together when they first met, I guess 15 years ago. And Shakina looks like a completely different person. It's not just the fact that she's aged in 15 years, as we all do, but she literally looks like a different person. I thought plastic surgery was supposed to make you look like, you're refreshed and rejuvenated and you just came back from a very long, restful vacation. But the way people are using plastic surgery nowadays, they're like literally trying to reconstruct their whole entire facial features, and to look like somebody else completely. I was just like, damn, Shakina, you were looking so cute back then, so fresh, and just so adorable. And now you look like a Bratz doll with the overstuffed lips and the cheek injections. And anywho, that's a whole nother situation. So she tells Berta, her ex, that she met a man in Turkey and that she plans on moving over there to live with him. And of course, he doesn't like it. He thinks that she's moving way too fast, that, how do you know that this is the right guy? And Shakina says, well, it just feels right. And her ex tells her, well, the last guy you said, it just felt right as well. You said that it was just right with the other guy too. So Berto says that she picks men based on really shallow reasons. Like, if they have nice abs, if they're good looking, if they're sexy. That's basically her criteria, is if you're hot enough, if you look hot enough, then she's going to date you. And I totally believe that, because that's what I said in my last review, is that that Shakina and Sarper look like they chose each other just based on looks. They both seem to be like her with all of her plastic surgery and, reconstructing her whole entire self, and him with his obsession with his body. It's like they just chose each other because they thought they were both hot and that they would look hot together. So Berto says that she's not making her daughter a priority, and Shakina in her confessional says, he's got some nerve to say that to me when he was the one that was always gone. Well, he probably was always gone because you were with him for his money, and he had to sustain a certain lifestyle to keep you. And so he had to go travel the world or travel the country or do whatever the hell he had to do to maintain the lifestyle that you got accustomed to, because you're not going to make me believe, Shakina, that you got with Berto because you just fell in love with him. And he could have been the manager at Walmart and you still would have been okay with it. No, you got with him, a guy who was almost 30 years older than you, because you wanted to be taken care of. And for him to sustain this lifestyle for you, he had to put in the work. He had to put in the hours. And that's why he was always gone. Now you're leaving your daughter behind to go shack up with some guy. So it's kind of different. So her daughter's in boarding school, right? So it's kind of like neither one of y'all are there for her because, the boarding school is raising her. So after all of that, she tells him that yes, she is making her daughter a priority because she's showing her daughter what a healthy relationship looks like. Where is it? What relationship are you talking about that's going to show your daughter this is what a healthy relationship is? I know you're not talking about you and Mr. I'm obsessed with my looks, Sarper. I know you're not talking about you and him and his one night stands and his 2,500 women that he's been with. Girl, I know you're not talking about him. So she says this is an example of a healthy relationship that I'm going to be showing my daughter. The lies you tell. Shakina, I see that me and you are not going to be getting along, because this is the second time that I've seen you, and I'm having some serious issues with you on so many different levels. You're with a guy that as soon as y'all met, y'all hooked up, y'all slept together. He was with 2 other women the next day. He's been with 2,500 women. The only thing he cares about is his abs. And this is an example of a healthy relationship. Anyways, moving on to Sarper. So he used to be an exotic dancer. He did that for 7 whole years. And now he is a model, and he's also a fitness trainer. All of these things are like a recipe for the ultimate F boy. So he talks about, he meets up with his best friend in the gym, and he's telling his best friend that Shakina's going to be moving to Turkey. And the best friend is actually surprised because the best friend knows Sarper as being a womanizer and a man whore. So he says that, ever since he met Shakina, his life has completely changed. When they first met, she was in Turkey. I don't know if they met online and then she went to Turkey, or if they met in Turkey. I don't know. But at some point she was in Turkey, and the first time that they met, they hooked up. Okay. The next day, he says he was with 2 women. He had slept with 2 women the next day. And later on that day, Shakina called him and wanted to see him. Okay. And he told her that he was too tired and not feeling well, but she insisted. And so they saw each other again. So after he was with 2 women, he sees Shakina, they hooked up. So that's 3 women in one day. And, yeah, she knows how to pick them, right? So she made a second visit to Turkey, and that's when he said he fell in love with her. His life completely changed, and that he's totally given up his womanizing ways. So he's going to hang up his player's card. He's going to commit himself to Shakina and Shakina only. And his best friend is like, well, I got to see it to believe it, because he was such a man whore. I find it hard to believe that he would just give up on that lifestyle for Shakina. Moving on from there, we have Mary the manipulator and Brandon. So Mary takes Brandon to see her old house, the one that got destroyed by Typhoon Odette. Her brother has been fixing it up, so I guess it's somewhat livable. And while they're in that house, they're having a conversation, and Brandon tells Mary, we need money. I'm running out of money, because when he was living in America, he was working really hard and sending all of his money to Mary for her to build this new house after the old house got destroyed. So he has no savings. All of his money went into building this house, and now he only has $300 left. And so he's worried about, groceries and paying the bills. Now, $300 in the Philippines probably can last a whole lot longer than, what it could do here in America. So he probably has enough to sustain them for a little bit longer, but at some point that's all going to run out because no money is coming in. So she says, well, I can make necklaces and sell them. Sell them where and to who? To the other impoverished people in your area, people who could be spending their money on groceries. They're going to buy your necklaces, or are you going to go sell them go into the city and sell them in the marketplace? Or are you going to sell them online? We have yet to see Mary string a bead to make anything, but now she's this, professional necklace maker that she thinks she's going to be making a living off of making necklaces. Well, why haven't you already done that, sweetheart? So I don't see how her making necklaces or selling necklaces is going to sustain her and Brandon and the grandparents and her siblings. I just don't see how. And Brandon don't see it either, because Brandon suggests, well, why don't you ask your grandparents for money? And as soon as he suggested that, Mary shut it all the way down. So she starts crying again. Now, the way that she can cry at the drop of a hat, Mary, you need to consider acting, becoming an actress, because directors are looking for that, for someone who can just turn on the waterworks just like that. Because we all know that there's no real feeling or emotions behind her tears. She just uses her tears to manipulate Brandon whenever he says something that she doesn't like, or whenever she cannot get her way. So when he suggested getting money from the grandparents who live in that house, who are using those utilities, Brandon's like, well, why don't they just help out? Mary got emotional. She started crying. And she cries. She really puts on a show when she cries. She is like hyperventilating and she's gasping for air. And Brandon, in his confessional, I was like, what the hell is she doing? He was surprised with her reaction. So she says, my grandparents sacrificed so much for me. And how dare you even suggest that they need to, give us money? They put me through college. And Brandon was like, Mary, you had a scholarship. Well, they fed me when I was in college. So she had to she had to go back and redo her lines. Well, they fed me when I was in college. How dare you? No, I will not go. I will not ask my grandparents for money. I'm not going to go to them for money. And so Brandon is like, Okay, so what are we gonna do? Um, he says, your grandparents were not the only ones that struggled. He says, I struggled as well to make the money for you and your grandparents to live in that house. I was struggling as well. And then Mary says in her confessional that an American struggling is not the same thing as a Filipino struggling. Because in America, we have the government to take care of us, we're on welfare, we can get food stamps and blah, blah, blah. So why do we have homeless people in America? Why do we have people living out of their cars with their children in America? Why do we have children who can't get 3 square meals a day if it's that easy and that simple that you just go to the government for a handout? Anywho, that's a whole nother video. So Mary is really adamant about not asking her grandparents. And so Brandon, once again, he gives in. It's like, okay, we don't have to ask her grandparents. I don't know how they're going to get money. And Brandon says that Mary is his future. Is she? Brandon, this is the future that you want? This is your future. This is what you've been dreaming of, fantasizing about, living like this, where now you're worried about where your next meal is going to come from. Moving on to TJ and Kimberly. So Kimberly once again is upstairs away from everybody else. She's playing with her tarot cards. TJ comes up there and no. I jumped ahead of myself. Before all of that, they go see the wedding venue. Well, first of all, on their way to the wedding venue, she decided to drive them. And as they're driving to the wedding venue to meet with the wedding decorator, she sideswipes another car. And I was like, I didn't understand why they didn't all pull over to inspect the damages and make sure everybody was okay. They did none of that. She sideswiped somebody and just kept on driving. At some point, thank God, TJ took over the wheel. So they get to the venue. She pretty much is okay with everything. She's satisfied with everything. There's a couple of things that she does want to tweak. And TJ was like, well, I know she's happy now, but I'm pretty sure on the day of the wedding, she's going to find something to complain about. So then now we're at home. We're back at home. I think it's the next day, actually. It's the next day. TJ goes upstairs where, I'm pretty sure Kimberly's always hiding herself. And she's upstairs playing with her tarot cards. So TJ tells her, can you come downstairs? Because my family wants to talk to you. So she comes downstairs and the mother in their own language is telling TJ, because Mary had on, the jeans that have the holes ripped in them, which is really that's what's trending in America. So she's got these gaping holes in her jeans, and the mother is telling TJ in their own language, why is she dressed like that? This is very disrespectful for her to be showing all that skin. She might as well not be wearing pants at all. And so TJ tells his mama, what do you want me to do? She always dresses like this. And so he starts to the mom is like, this is disrespect for her to dress like this, especially, with your father here and me here. And so then TJ yells at his mother. I'm beginning to realize that TJ himself is extremely disrespectful to his family, because he was yelling at his brother. He's yelling at his mom, and it's just, the whole thing just completely falls apart before it even began. I don't even know what they wanted to talk to Mary about, but TJ and his mom and the brother they're all, arguing and yelling at each other that whatever they wanted to tell Kimberly, it didn't happen. So TJ's mad because he knows that he cannot change Kimberly. He cannot change Kimberly. Because the mother talks about how she needs to adapt to the way that we live, adapt to our culture, show more respect to us. And he gets mad because he knows that if he tells Kimberly this, Kimberly's going to blow up on him and she's going to cuss him out and call him a DICK again. So the mom she's saying something about the situation between Yash and Kimberly when they got into it. And Kimberly can hear the mom say, don't touch me, because the mom is repeating, what her son told her. So when Kimberly heard that, she knew that the mother was talking about that incident. And in that incident, it seems like the mother is taking Yash's side, where TJ took Kimberly's side. So Yash and TJ and the mom, they're yelling and screaming at each other. Kimberly gets so upset that she walks away to go sit on the stairs. She says that she cannot stay in this type of a toxic environment. So already she's laying down the foundation of leaving this house and taking TJ with her. We know that's what's going to be coming, because I just don't see Kimberly living in this environment at all. Whether it's upstairs, downstairs, she's not going to be. She does not want to be around his family at all. So TJ is telling his family that give her time to adapt to our culture, and I'm just like, TJ, oh man, I don't know. You're very disrespectful to your parents. And I think the reason why he has a lot of anger like this is because he knows his family's right. He knows that his family is right. I don't understand, like, when I keep saying this, I sound like a broken record. You want to be, I'm referring to Kimberly, you want to be with a foreign man and you want to live in a foreign country. So the assumption is that there's something about his culture and his country that you find attractive. But then you get there and you disrespect the whole entire establishment. And how you're not going to conform. You're going to continue to be who you are. You're not going to lose your identity. You're going to, So why don't you just stay in America and get you an American man where you don't have to worry about conforming, and you can eat as much garlic and onions as you want, and you can dress however you want, and you don't have to worry about, anyways, moving on. It's so infuriating that we constantly are seeing the same thing over and over again, where you have that American who loves, a foreigner, but then they go to the other country and they completely just disrespect everything there. As much as I dislike, well, I'm not even going to talk about that, because she's also disrespectful as well. She's also disrespectful. I was going to try to throw a couple of points to Danielle, but she's disrespectful as well to her man and his culture. So let's just move on. Julio and Kirsten. So Julio says that he cannot leave for the Netherlands anytime soon. Now remember, he had promised Kirsten that he was going to join her in the Netherlands in 3 months' time. Now he's saying he can't leave at all. So he says that his mother wants him to stay in New York to watch over his brothers, who one for sure is an adult, and the other one is damn near close to being adult, if not an adult already. So he FaceTimes Kirsten. Kirsten says to him, "You have promised me that you were going to come to the Netherlands in 3 months." And she says, "I can't wait for you any longer." So as soon as she said that, Julio found his little opening to end the relationship now. So then he says, "Well, if he can't wait for me, then let's just end it. Let's just end it right here." So Kirsten takes this pretty hard. Julio acts really flippant about ending their relationship. Like it's not that serious to him. And she's over there, choking on her tears. And he's like, like smiling and giggling. And she says to him, aren't you taking this seriously at all? You're not taking this seriously, the fact that we're breaking up? And he's like, "Well, you don't know if I'm going to get off the computer and go to the bathroom and just have a breakdown. You don't know if I'm going to be doing that later. You're not." So basically, he tells her, let's just break up. He really does break up with her. He tells her that it's best for them to break up and go their separate ways. And he says that they've been living in a fantasy world up until now. I don't know what got him to, what hit him with reality. I'm pretty sure it's his family. His family convinced him to not do this, and he's just going to cave in. But you know what? In all truthfulness, I think Julio probably just got tired of Kirsten. There was something about Kirsten that he lost interest in. Because if he really loved her and really wanted to be with her, he'd be with her. He would like to help what my family wants, because he had already started the process of living in the Netherlands. He started the immigration process of becoming a citizen over there. He talked about how he never saw himself raising his family in the United States. He always saw himself settling down in another country, or he probably found another foreign girl that he finds more interesting. Maybe he wants to break up with her because he wants to be with somebody else. But the way he did Kirsten was absolutely wrong. Julio he's an F-boy. In the truest sense, he is an F-boy for leading her on like this, because I think he knew way before she returned to the Netherlands, he knew that he didn't want to be with her, or he didn't want to be in this relationship. So yeah, he's an F-boy. Either he found somebody else or he caved in to his family. and he wasn't strong enough to stand up for Kirsten. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.